you're my villain this season. You cry a lot. You're shady. You're underhanded. I don't find anything you do to be very genuine. You're my villain. Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome back to my channel. I know I've been gone for a minute, but I am here, and I want to talk about the latest episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 8 of Allstars. What episode it's at this point, I really don't know. I've just been watching and enjoying, and I am not really fully aware of where we are at. I know it's close to the end. So I'll just share with you a little bit of my thoughts. And as well, I'm so sorry I wasn't here for you for the longest time. I do apologize, but I'm here now. I want to talk a little bit about last episode. Lala went home, the one before this one, and a lot of people were upset online. I was one of them. I was like, wait a minute, you can't just say, well, yes, it's a TV show, but then again, I'm getting invested in characters on this TV show, and so if you want the show to be successful and you want the characters on the show to be successful, you do want the fans to be invested in them and to have opinions on them and to breathe life into these characters outside of the show so that these people / characters can monetarily profit or benefit from the fandom being so into them. Get what I'm saying? I wish I could wink. No, I can't. Yes, Lala saved Alexis Michelle the week prior. Alexis was like really going in on and on and on. I will never forget this. What you did for me was amazing. I got you. Lala even said, girl, don't forget. And she's like, I got you, Lala. And then she said to Lala's face and Untucked, I just can't see myself picking your lipstick, or I can't pick your lipstick. And I watched her thing at Roscoe's, and she was basically saying it's kind of like, I have to, but it's so hard for me to do it. That's her way of saying it. But I was like, not really, because that's not what it read to us watching it, and that's really just not what it was. But we understand that it's a game and it's all good. You're cool with each other. It's done. This was a year ago. But watching it and being invested in it, it was kind of like, ooh, that character on that show, messy. Not my favorite. I'm giving you the villain. That's what it was for me. I was like, you're my villain this season. You cry a lot. You're shady. You're underhanded. I don't find anything you do to be very genuine. You're my villain. That's the energy this character gave me, i.e. Alexis Michelle. Fast forward this episode, this most current episode, I was ready for her to go home. I was like, you haven't been my favorite, not because of your drag, just because of your character on the season. And I feel like you've served your purpose at this point, so... And I don't blame that on production. I blame that on just who you portrayed yourself to be. And that's what we saw. They can edit a lot of things. They can't edit what comes out of your mouth and the actions that you do. When it was going to be a comedy challenge and that was announced, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I'm expecting a lot from Alexis, and maybe she will actually stay because she's good at Snatch Game. She was funny, and while I don't know if her reading... Oh, I do remember her reading challenge. She wore green, and it was very bad. Very, very bad. Yeah, but I still overlooked it. I was like, you're good at Snatch Game. Maybe you can figure something out this time around. You've grown. It's been years. Yeah. Well, we know what happened in the end. I also thought Jessica Wilde was going to do pretty well because just naturally she's funny. She reminds me a lot of Alyssa Edwards and the fact that they're beautiful and they're in their own little world and nothing really bothers them outside of their own bubble, and they just exude confidence and charisma, and they're lovable. So I thought she was going to do pretty well. I also thought Kandy might do okay because Kandy did win her season's roast, I believe. However, I do feel like Kandy's enunciation, equestrian, I do feel like her enunciation and her lisp is a hindrance for her a lot of times in different challenges. It's like, yeah, you have the personality, you have the charisma, and you have the talent, but that little thing is something that the judges can use against her and be like, on this time around, while it was good, it was hard to hear and it was a little too fast. And so because of that, you know, they can use that against you in moments where it services the narrative. So I thought she had an opportunity to do well. How well she would have done, I don't know. I wasn't too sure. And then I thought Jimbo was my other one. I was like, okay, Jimbo's very funny. I love Jimbo's perspective on things. Whenever there's an improv, acting, or comedic challenge, she does well. So I'm like, you can channel you can channel this into this roast. And it's of Carson Kressley. There's a lot to roast about Carson Kressley. So I thought this was going to be cool. I love the fact that Jimbo went the Joan Rivers route. I thought, okay, this could be cool. But if I'm being honest, when she first mentioned that she wanted to do Joan Rivers doing the roast, I thought, okay, this could bite you in the butt because you did Joan Rivers on Canada's Drag Race Season 1. It was really good. I don't think she won that challenge, but it was good. Joan Rivers is very beloved. I love her. She's very reverent. You have the voice. Are you going to regurgitate Joan Rivers' jokes? Because you kind of did that on Canada's Drag Race. Or are you going to tell fresh jokes as Joan Rivers? And how will it read? I thought a lot of things could have gone wrong, to be honest, when she first mentioned it in the workroom. I was like, oh, this is fun. Then I was immediately like, oh, this could be really bad. I thought Jessica Wilde, I really just did not have any doubt in my mind that she was going to do well. I just didn't. And then the roast actually happens. And we go down the line. You have Miss Alexis Michelle that won the previous week, so she decided the order. She decided to go first, which is a very bold move. I feel like if I'm very confident in myself, I'd probably go first as well to get it out of the way, because me sitting there watching everyone go ahead of me will psych me out more and make me more nervous going up after them. But if I go first, I have no one to compare myself to. It's just like, I'm opening the show. Love me or hate me, I'm going to give you confidence, and that might make me come off better. And watching everyone else after me, yes, I'll sit there and I'll start to stew and be like, they did that joke and I didn't do. Maybe they're a little bit better, but at the same time, it's like, at least it's done. It's over. I can't change anything at this point. If I was to sit there through everyone's set and then go up after, I might be rewriting things in my head, trying to set up stuff differently in my head, just to try and do better than those before me, which would inevitably cause me to fail. I feel like I would trip up on my words, I would do a bad job, because now I'm trying to pivot in the middle of a set where so yeah, I feel like I'd probably do the same thing she did. I'd go first. So she went first, and it was very okay. Like, a very serviceable roast. I felt like it was a lot of storytelling, and it was giving, you know, her signature tone. I don't know if that even makes sense, but she has this tone, you know, ooh, yeah. It gave that. I can't remember a funny joke, and that's going to be the testament today, to be like, did they deserve to get the placements they did? What can I remember after watching this episode a few days ago? Can I remember any of the jokes? No, I can't. So she had her set. There were like a few mild laughs, and she took a while to get to some of the punchlines. And I felt like there could have been a lot more punchlines during her set. I was like, wait a minute. All this storytelling, and I got like 4 punchlines. You could have used your time a little bit more wisely. You know? Then after that, I believe we had Kandy Muse. Again, I'm literally just talking to you guys from memory. I don't remember exactly how everything went, but I'm just giving you my opinions on what I can remember. Hope that's okay. Let's say Kandy Muse was next. Probably not. Yeah, anyways. Kandy came up, and Kandy was giving her vibe, you know? It's confident, it's funny, and she had good jokes. There were a few of them that didn't land the way I think she wanted it to, like the one about Jimbo, too bad you don't have talent to win a lip sync. That one, you can tell the whole was audible, like, ooh. It felt a little more mean than funny. And even if they did not have a laugh track, or they did not have audience and judges giving reactions, I would have felt the same way. I'd be like, okay, we get it. Jimbo sucks at lip syncs, but Jesus, did you have to do it? Like, the joke could have had more of a funnier punch than you suck. But she recovered from it nicely, and I felt like she did have good zingers in there. There were a few moments where I was like, yeah, this is good. But again, nothing stood out to me where I was like, wow, this was the funniest thing. And I was slapping my knee. It was just like, okay, this was not flatlining. This was okay. And then Jessica Wilde. I think Jessica Wilde went second, actually. But Jessica Wilde was so funny. It was the way she delivered every joke. Her accent plays into it, obviously. Her demeanor plays into it heavily. It's like the Dancing with the Stars jokes. It's like, even after this competition, I still won't watch any of your projects joke. I was still laughing. I was laughing at everything she did. And I just felt like there was not a moment that I felt like, you know, when you're listening to a roast and everything is coming in and you're getting punchline, and then one hits and you're like, you think about it, you're like, no, I didn't find it funny. Everything she said, I was just like, laugh. I enjoyed every single punchline. So she didn't disappoint. She did exactly what I thought she would have done, and it was a really great job. She looked amazing. Everyone looked amazing, to be honest. Jimbo came up looking like Joan Rivers and absolutely annihilated everyone. I thought it was going to be so hard, nearly impossible to top what Jessica Wilde did. But when Jimbo came out as Joan Rivers and she just started reading everyone left, right, and center, the horse face jokes, she even went in on like Joan's actual daughter, Melissa, a little bit towards the end, and I thought, this is great. At first I was like, you don't have to do that, but it's great that you did it because you are portraying this character. You are doing the roast as Joan, so bring up something personal to her to make it seem like, yeah, this is Joan doing the roast. I thought that was a really good touch. And when she was like, Kandy Muse, before you like get to her, you have to put your hand out so she can sniff it. These are like such good jokes that are smart. It's like, but it's not too smart to the point where you have to really stop and think about it. Like, oh, what do you mean by that? Hand sniff, dog. It's like your brain will pick up on that pretty quickly. Like, she's a dog, you know, let the dog sniff your hand so they get used to you. They'll come up close. These jokes are just so smart. They're so funny. They're so witty. And I was worried that she wouldn't be able to de-Sasha-fy it. And when I say Sasha, I mean Velour, not Colby. Because like Sasha Velour is known for like edifying humor and being too highbrow and smart for the room. And when Jimbo went into the rehearsal with with Michelle and that other judge, some of the things they didn't get. I knew the moment when she said, like, Jessica Wilde is such a bleep bleep bleep. Before you bleep bleep, you have to cross her legs. Like, I knew exactly what she meant, and I was like laughing. But then Michelle was like, I don't get it. You have to, like, I don't need to think about it this hard. I was like, is Jimbo going to be able to do this? And she did it. She did it, and she killed it, and she won the challenge, and it was so well deserved. I have not laughed at a roast like that in a while. And let me tell you, Allstars 7, you had Jinx Monsoon, who is extremely funny. She's the one that came up with the line that I will never forget, is like, Evie Oddly is so, while doing a lineup off of it, I had time to stop and reflect. I've become my mother. Like, that is so smart. Unbelievable. But even with a season that just happened that was so amazing, with a roast and funny moments, this happening right after it, I was still like, whoa, this is up there. This is up there with the best of them. And this is when I actually started thinking where Jimbo lies within the RuPaul Drag Race Queen universe. And I'm ranking Jimbo really high. And some people might not like it, because I've been seeing a lot of Jimbo hate online over the past week. They're like, they don't want her to win. They don't like her. I get it. I was like, okay. Everyone has opinions, and that's fine. When I think of funny queens that are successful and have the potential to be are successful, let me start there. Funny queens that are successful and that I am a huge fan of. I think of Bianca Del Rio. I think of Bob the Drag Queen. I think of Alaska. I think of Trixie Mattel, Akatia, and Monet Exchange, Willem, Jinx Monsoon, obviously. Like, these are people in the top 10 when I think of funny queens that I think are really successful. They're the people I think about. And I feel like Jimbo is going to be up there with them very soon. I don't know if the haters roast is still a big thing and they still do a lot of it. I'm sure it happens. I just haven't seen it pop up in Toronto, or if it has, I guess I didn't see that flyer for it. But I feel like Jimbo is solidifying herself as one of the funniest queens to come out of RuPaul's Drag Race. And it's great that she's not even from the American franchise. When you think of like other funny queens, I put Lawrence Chaney in there, and she's from the British franchise. You would think I would put the first winner of UK Drag Race UK. Sorry, I'm blanking. I know who they are. Don't worry. Don't kill me. I know who they are. I'm just blanking right now. But Lawrence Chaney is in there for me too, as like one of the funniest queens from the universe of Drag Race, and Jimbo is definitely up there. She is the funniest queen to come out of Canada, in my opinion. I cannot think of another Canadian drag queen that was on the show, like Canada's Drag Race, Canada versus the World, or anything, won or didn't win, that is as funny as Jimbo, in my opinion. And if she continues on this trajectory and does the work, she could be as successful as all of those top queens I mentioned earlier, that I find to be the standards for comedy queens on RuPaul's Drag Race. I feel very strongly about this. But let me know, in your opinion, down below. Like, I gave my list about like people in the top 10 funniest queens from RuPaul's Drag Race. Make your own list. Let me know what you think, because I feel like I didn't give a full 10. I gave like maybe 7 or 8. And also, these queens that I'm mentioning, it is important to note when you're creating your list and you're coming in the comments, these queens need to be successful queens. There are a lot of queens that are really funny, but they don't have social media presence, they don't market themselves very well, and they're not as successful as they could or should be. I'm just talking about queens that are funny, but had the foresight to market themselves properly and to build a network for themselves or a community for themselves, so they're more successful than the average queen. So yeah, I'd really love to hear your list. Yeah, so Jimbo wins, and here I am, I'm thinking, okay, great, she's gonna lose 4 lip syncs in a row. This is gonna be fun. I was fully ready to turn the TV off and just be like, yeah, she won. Let me just not spoil this endorphin high that I'm on from watching her annihilate the roast. Because watching her lip sync sometimes is a bit sad and depressing, and I just feel like, oh, let it be over. So I was almost gonna like walk out of the room and not watch it, but then I was like, wait, let me see what's gonna happen. Let me at least see what the song is gonna be. But then I see that she changed into her iconic Jimbo, you know, the white suit with the alien tummy and whatnot. I was like, oh, she's gonna be in flats. She's gonna be in this outfit. This could actually be a winning performance. And let me stay and sit around and see what this is going to give. And so I did. This episode, they showed us everyone voting for Alexis, which I was like, yay, bye. I was really like, okay, it's time, because I don't see her in my top 3. I never did. I did see these 3 people in my top 3. Halfway through the season, I saw these 3. But before that, I think I've talked about this before. Yes, we get to see everyone choose Alexis's lipstick, so we know she's going home. And because this was happening, I was like, is RuPaul gonna like do a flip and be like, no, everyone gets to stay at the end of it? Because normally they don't show everyone picking the lipstick. Or is Jimbo going to win the lip sync and choose Kandy to go home? Because we saw all the other girls, Jessica and Kandy, choose Alexis, and Alexis obviously choose Jessica, and we don't see who Jimbo chose. So if we already know that the group consensus is Alexis is going home, and they're telling us that ahead of time, more than likely Jimbo is going to win the lip sync and choose somebody else, and that's going to be a twist. Or RuPaul is going to say, when Jimbo loses, no, everyone gets to stay. So I was like, okay, there's a few things that could happen here. Let me stick around to see what does happen. We get to the main stage. We have the lip sync assassin being Silky Nutmeg Ganache, true lip sync assassin from Allstars 8. Nope, that's this season, Allstars 6. Silky is undeniably a really good lip syncer and very entertaining. So I was like, okay, great. Jimbo's not winning this one. Great. I thought she had the outfit on. It's an easy win if she hams it up. But then I saw Silky and then I was like, shoot, she might not win. Watching the lip sync, I thought Jimbo killed it. Even though I know Silky came out to say at Roscoe's, which sometimes I'm going to comment on that later on. She came out to say at Roscoe's that Jimbo didn't know half of the words to the lip sync, and I don't think she's lying. It's very possible. A lot of times, a lot of queens don't know a lot of the words when they're lip syncing, and they still win, and that happens pretty often, to be honest. Monet famously said that Jinx stopped lip syncing halfway through that song and watched Monet rap, and then clapped for Monet, and then they finished the lip sync. Monet didn't win. It's not that big of a deal, but Silky didn't win this one. Jimbo won, and I'm happy she won, because I was really starting to get nervous for her finale of the show, because even though you don't have to be a good lip syncer to win, Bianca never lip synced, so we can't compare that. But Trixie won, I believe, one challenge in her All-Stars run, and she didn't win that lip sync. She really did give it her all. You can tell she was trying hard. I still imagine her in her little pink cat suit, really trying to serve "See You Next Tuesday," but didn't really work out for her. But she didn't win any lip syncs on her season, and And that lip sync at the end with her and Kennedy was like, you're going up against one of the best lip syncers in Drag Race history. The song is weird, but still, more than likely Kennedy would have beaten you, or should have, because she was actually doing an interpretive dance to it and all these things. But no, she didn't. So I'm sure Jimbo can still win without winning a lip sync. That's not a big deal. And I don't think that's important. Yeah, she wins, and I'm really happy because I didn't want her to go into the finale and win without ever winning a lip sync ever before that. So this was a really good moment for her, and she chose Alexis to go home. And I was like, okay, well, not as big of a twist as I wanted. I wanted Alexis to go home because I felt like her story was wrapped up at this point. I didn't feel like she had more story to give, and I didn't feel like she had much more interesting drag to show. At least for me. I'm just a viewer. I'm just a consumer feeding into the capitalistic system that is Drag Race and making y'all money. And as someone that's a patron paying, I didn't feel like you had more to give. I feel like I've seen enough of you. So I was like, yeah, send her home. But I would have been more interested if Jimbo had sent Kandy home, because I thought Kandy is someone that we've heard from Heidi that's kind of a snake or whatever, and was out for Jimbo. So this could have been Jimbo's moment to be like, I'm getting rid of you. And this would have been very see you next Tuesday. But we got what we got, and we're not upset about it. It still was an amazing episode, and I am very excited for next week's episode. I will say, foreshadowing next week's episode, I feel like Jimbo's going to struggle a lot. I think Jimbo's going to be in the bottom, and I think no one's going to go home. Because Jimbo has not been in the bottom this entire time, and for it to be like a really good story from beginning to end, it needs to be like she did amazing 4 challenge wins, but then she had a real moment where she faltered. You know, like when Alaska was in the 11th hour, same episode, makeover challenge, and she didn't do well, and she was like, I'll Venmo you a $10,000 or Cash App you $10,000 or whatever the case was. I think it's going to give one of those moments. Jimbo's going to fall on the bottom. She's going to feel very sad, and she's going to have her little moment, and then she's going to end up staying. Because let's face it, next episode is not the finale, and we need 3 people for the finale. Do we need 3 people for the finale? I guess it's okay if only 2 people end up in the finale, but I would have... We'll see. I don't know. I don't want to predict too much, but this is what I think will happen, because I don't see Jimbo as a type to do great at making other people up into drag. Jimbo basically started doing her makeup good the other day. Jimbo was not doing good makeup on on Canada's Drag Race Season 1. She was not doing great makeup on UK versus the World either. So I feel like her makeup now is the best I've ever seen it, but I don't know if she's going to be good at doing this on other people, especially when, based off the little clips they showed us, it's not someone that was being very receptive of it. Should be interesting. Yes, before I go, I wanted to touch on this very quickly. Watching all of these queens be so in their feelings feelings are your feelings, whatever. But watching all these queens that are not on the show right now or got kicked off recently on their platforms just talking shit about the show all the time, it's like, oh, but production. If the show was not produced, do you think you'd have the fan base you have of people watching and supporting you? No. Anything that is worth watching and that's good, there is production involved in it. This little YouTube channel, there's production involved in it. If there's nothing being produced about it to appeal to an audience, then it does not get an audience. So I wish that some of the queens would kind of shut up about production and being so bitter about getting kicked off when they did, and having all these things and narratives painted, because you're the same ones dying desperately to go back on the show. If they called you again, you would not say no. It's giving entitled. It's giving I'm so over it. I'm starting to unfollow the ones that are coming across as really annoying with it. It's like, we get it, you wanted to win, you didn't, everyone's not going to win. You know, this is TV. And you know it, we know it. You don't have to remind us every time when a fan says something. You're like, you know, it's a TV show, right? Yeah, the fan knows. And the fan is, you know, they're entitled to feel strongly about characters on TV shows. Just like how fans of soap operas and telenovelas and movies feel strongly about characters on those that's scripted. They can feel strongly about characters on reality shows and unscripted shows like daytime TV hosts. Do you know how many people have very strong opinions about the women on The View and about people on a lot of different reality TV shows like The Housewives and all of these things? Very strong opinions. And this is just like that. It's unscripted and it's a TV show. And so you're still a character on the show, even though you're a real human being. Everyone's a real human being. Whether they're scripted or non-scripted, people get invested. If we don't get invested, your shows disappear and they lose funding and you don't have platforms. So how about you get some media training, take some of the criticism with the grace, and don't read the comments. Yes, don't send hate to any queen. That's very obvious. But people will do what they will do. You can't control everyone, but what you can do is control how you react to it and stop fueling it, because I feel like a lot of queens fuel a lot of the toxic discourse in the fandom. Yeah, that's all I have to say on that. Thank you guys so much for watching this week. I love you endlessly. I will try my very best to do more of these videos. The reason why I was not able to do a lot more in the past, I was very busy working on some stuff. I can't wait to share that with you. Also, if there's an editor out there looking for a job, hit me up, because I cannot give you the same level of content that I used to give you before, because I just don't have the time. So I'm not going to do the live reactions that I used to do, where you can see the clips I'm looking at in real time, but now I'm just going to give you my rundown of the episodes and what my thoughts were on them. So more of an overview recap. Thank you so much for watching. Love you endlessly again, and I'll see you when I see you. No promises. Hey beautiful humans, you've made it this far in this video. Why not subscribe to my Patreon? You can sign up for exclusive content I don't post on YouTube, or support me making content for this channel. Speaking of, why don't you watch another video?